I have to preface by clarifying the term monster movies. You see, back in the day, what humans referred to as monster movies were horror flicks that featured non-human or non-normal human or animal, often greatly misunderstood beings. Well, things have changed since then, and now we have monsters in all sorts of films, from action to comedy to fantasy to science fiction. And with my classification for what passes as monster, the gates of World of Monsters are wide open. In short, any being or entity that is not a known participant of the animal kingdom, which includes us, would be considered a monster. Secondly, extreme cases of known beings such as overgrown sharks or humans with superhuman abilities would be considered monsters as well. I know for RPG players out there, this is easier to grasp as they may be more used to seeing bestiaries for their games that work like this or in a similar way. Also, the first trait mentioned should answer your deity question, if you have one. Yes, gods and goddesses are considered monsters here. You might ask, why not use the term mythical creatures? Because this slaps in the label of creature, which is an issue as many monsters are very debatedly creatures, while others aren't even living. Hence, entity would be a better general term. But monster just covers it all so much better. It still has a negative connotation behind it, but we'll just leave that with the general old school human way of perceiving things they do not understand. Actually, I'd like to call it old school, but sadly all this is a part of the timeless embodiment of fearing the unknown. And I say sadly, as my, how different the world would be if we were more intrigued in the unknown than in fear of it. Now, why am I here? Ah yes, the monster movies I most look forward to in 2021. Please stay tuned to the end of the video if you want to see the entire list of movies I've gathered and took into consideration. Personally, I'm all for a good movie first and foremost, before worrying about a cool monster that it may have. Although, when it comes to content for World of Monsters, an awesome creature design could mean everything. So here are the movies that have monsters that I actually want to watch. I had Antlers at the top of my list until I discovered Matrix 4 may actually come out in 2021. I'm not sure if it will though, as well as with other movies such as the remake of Spawn and The Howling, but being a fan of the original trilogy and having a return of the key actors, I'd be quite excited to see this fourth installment. Secondly, Antlers. This just looks like a proper horror that I think I'll appreciate and enjoy, including, finally might I add, including a monster that we simply need to see more of on a big screen. It's totally malevolent and with a deep lore behind it. Just simply awesome. You know what it is. And if you do, please put hashtag and that monster's name that will be in Antlers in the comments. Third, Mortal Kombat. I love the first movie, don't care for the second, and with this, many years after either was produced, I am very curious as to what will be unleashed. Don't screw it up. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I love Venom. The first movie was bad but enjoyable, and now I'm offering up hopeless hope in that the creators have learned their lesson. But either way, seeing Carnage, which in my opinion is way too early in the saga, still should yield some wonderful monstrous eye candy. Plus, Woody. A Quiet Place 2, just another monster flick of why don't they do this, or why did he just do that, or why did they respond to this but not that. Nonetheless, you know the movie is still enjoyable, the concept is great, it just could be executed better with more logical and realistic writing. The trailer looks good, it'll be a fun ride. Godzilla vs. Kong. Godzilla vs. Kong. Enough said. And number 7. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Just looks like a good little film which will hopefully surprise us with some sweet ghost concepts. Not a fan of kids running the show, but if they're going with the 80s way of doing it, it's all good. 8. Peninsula. Train to Busan. Well, that was my number 9 until I found out it's already out. Same with Coma and Love and Monsters. So as number 8, I have Masters of the Universe. Let me just say that Masters of the Universe could even be my most anticipated film, period, if I knew they wouldn't screw it up. But from what I'm hearing, they're already on track to doing so. At number 9, Chaos Walking. Is it really my number 9? Probably not, but this is just based off of trailer first impressions. I hope it lives up to number 9. And at 10, Loki. Great villain, great actor, let's see what he gets up to in his own movie. So that's my top 10 as far as what I'm actually intrigued in checking out, with hopes that I'll either enjoy it and or it will be an actual good movie. As for my top 10 monster movies, for the monster concepts alone, production values aside, at number 1, Antlers. Number 2, Godzilla vs. Kong. Hoping we see some cool beasties other than the two headliners. I'm sure we will. Number 3, Mortal Kombat. Number 4, Masters of the Universe. Has so many cool concepts. I just hope they don't screw that up too much. Number 5, Morbius. I used to be a little bit of a fan of Morbius. Currently, I'm getting over the fact of just how obnoxiously narcissistic Jared Leto is, but that aside, I'm curious as to how the character's story will play out and how he looks as Morbius throughout the film.
It's gonna shrug. Here it comes. Here it comes. Ah. Oh yeah. That feels nice.
Number 7, Suicide Squad 2. I just sorta wanna see King Shark. Number 8, A Quiet Place Part 2. I put this in here as these are cool monsters and all, but it's often with these types of sequels that we're introduced to another baddie, usually a bigger one. Not saying this will necessarily be the case, but I wouldn't be surprised. Number 9, Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. Will there be any other characters than Venom and Carnage? Anyway, should be fun seeing these two in action. Plus, they can't screw up Carnage's red coloring, can they? No, they can't. Number 10, with another punched about release date, we have Dune. I've never gotten into the whole Dune world, and I have a feeling I'm quite missing out. Lastly, I'll show the whole list I compiled, although don't be surprised if you see several movies on it that are already out. Release dates have gone wild with COVID. Now I have to thank the patrons that help support World of Monsters: Cloud, Toby, Tammy, Dante, Joseph, Ramin, Rain, Christian. And to the rest of my patrons, thank you. Again, this list is organized by which first impressions intrigued me most. It is by no means my conclusive opinion on these movies. That said, if I knew for sure that Spawn and The Howling were to come out next year, these two movies would be in my top 5 of both lists. Anyway, let me know if there is any monster movie I should have added. I'm Monster Master Arthur, and if you love monster movies, be sure to see my recent origins exploration of the Blob. Become a monsterite by subscribing and let me know which is your most anticipated monster movie.